So before the break, we were talking about 360s and their usefulness in personal development. How do you see that the impact for creating better leaders?
So one of the biggest prerequisites for being a great leader is self-awareness. And there's nothing more eye-opening or no better way to illuminate blind spots that we may have or put a spotlight on things we think but helps to be affirmed from the people around us. Mm-hmm. It's just a very powerful, quick shot of truth. And that truth is definitely truth of perception, but it lets us figure out, I always talk about, been great with your show here, that we only know how we're sending. We don't have a great way to understand how we're being received. Right. So it's like this great radio show, right? A 360 helps us get a touch point for how we're being received, and then we can fine-tune how we send so that we're really getting out the brand, the messaging, the credibility that's true to how we want our mark to be wherever we show up. So I think 360s to that end are huge. And it makes the pursuing coaching engagement so much more powerful because you're working on the big stuff as opposed to the stuff that may have just been identified from what the client can see before that.
I agree with you completely. One of the things that it just brought to mind to me is that we have the same challenges with our clients as we have with self-done assessments, in that we're working on what the client thinks is important. And we all have blind spots. And one of my favorite phrases is we can't always see the picture from the frame. So one of the things that coaches can do is help to see that, but without that additional tool of how those actions and how those behaviors are being perceived, both coach and client are often going blind.
Exactly. And so you can get stuff done. There's no doubt about that. The brilliance of coaching is you will always have growth, right? But you can have transformational growth when you really are clear about what the big opportunities are.
Well, Ann, I have a question for you along that route. Since you've gone in and done several assessments, obviously, over the years. I think you said over 30 years.
Yes.
And then you also have your nonprofit corporate engagements. So you have teams, you have individuals. How do you see leadership changing over the next decade? You've already had 3 decades. So future.
Wow, in that one little instant, Jennifer, I just felt very old.
Well, I was just thinking the same
your
thing.
Experience.
I was looking at your picture.
Your experience. And that's why we're asking you to answer the question.
And having seen you in person, I was like, I'm doing the math, and I'm like, I don't see how that's possible.
She said it first. She said 30
and it is
years.
so true, actually. It is so true. And so I think what excites me about what's important for leadership today, what I think is getting even more important going forward, is that people are hungry to do things that are purposeful and bring meaning to their work and to their lives. So it's not about, we're not in the time of, acquiring for the sake of acquiring or building up assets for the sake of assets. People really are hungry for wanting to make that difference and do work that they're proud of and feel good about. So for me, this is the beautiful door that opens that helps us support leaders to get back to what is most true about them. That our meaningful and our purposeful work comes from who we are authentically.
Yeah, I totally believe in the coach helping the client or the team find out what their independent or collective purpose is. Where are we going? What are we doing? Yeah. And that could be the reason why things are just flailing out there, because we don't have something to focus on, or 2 or 3 things at least. We have 300 things that we're trying to focus on. So I would think that tool would be extremely useful in the continued changes, but I love the way you're doing it. Do you have a book, or you consider writing a book about your process?
I I need to. I keep getting told that by my coaches and the people in my courses. So I just need to stop coaching long enough to do that, Jennifer.
Well, you know, my thought, it was funny that you brought that up, Jennifer, because I was thinking as I was listening to a recording of one of Anne's teleclasses, you've got your book, transcribe that thing, flesh it out, and you're done.
Yes, and you know, that is thank you for that. Thank you very much, Carolyn. I have to tell you that I really love putting together. I don't even sell ebooks. I sell experiential books. I call them, right, where there's there's a paper, and there's what we call the Word document, but in addition, there's also some experiences, there's documents, there's templates, there's recorded teleclass. So we are pulling in all of the different senses and learning skills on a topic versus just leaving it in just an ebook as flat. So play with that a little bit. How does that sound to you guys?
I think that sounds really great, because and you know, you spoke my language, because I am totally a kinesthetic learner. I'm not a visual, so I learn best by doing.
Me too, Carolyn.
Well, what I really love that's come out of this and other interviews now, Carolyn and I have been doing this particular show only for 2.5 months, but we were on a show for 4 months together. And what I love about Carolyn, and what I've loved about what's come out of your recent conference, is it ICF conference, is the collaboration of the coaches and the different type styles that can still get along. Yes, you always have those few we've discussed that for whatever reason, they're just so competitive, they're knocking their head against the wall. And I love that you're on and that Carolyn is on to discuss all the different ways that you can both help motivate and grow your respective clients, and not think that you're all going after the same thing, and not be able to collaborate and help and educate and support. And how great is it for a coach to have another coach, whether it be here in Dallas beside her, or in Chicago, or in New York, as 2 weeks ago, to also hold each other accountable. So I love that she said, go transcribe your teleclass now. And I bet in a week she'll follow up with you. Have you done that?
I know an inexpensive transcriptionist, in fact. So too funny. Well, I want to shift gears here. I have done a tongue-in-cheek thing on bad bosses. Not on this show yet, on the previous one, but it's coming.
Yeah, we're gonna get her to do it again. It's fun.
Yeah, I've got 12 of them, and they've got some good names. And you know, part of it stemmed from my experience of having so few good ones. But then I did a little survey out there on social media about other people's experiences with bosses, and I said, you know, it has to be funny. Please, nothing tragic. And that came the dirty dozen of bad bosses. And, you know, I know you spent 30 years working in organizations. What's been your experience with bad bosses? And you know where we're moving to this is how do you help your clients thrive, whether they've got a screaming Mimi or not?
I love that. Screaming Mimi. So you know, of course, as I'm sure you do as well, Carolyn, every time you get an engagement or you're doing I do teleclasses, a whole 6-month teleprogram with people in corporations, 50 at a time. Everybody wants to talk about their bad boss. And they're shocked when I share that in my 30 years, and with my great career, I can count on one hand the number of good bosses I had, and I had at least a boss a year.
Wow.
So, but I have to say, so I'm not very disappointed by getting a bad boss, but I did have one big disappointment in my career from that aspect because I had a different expectation. And it was the only time in my career that I was ever formally given a mentor. She was at that point the highest ranking woman in the organization, and I was the up-and-coming high-potential female. And so I had this huge expectation that because we were both women, finally, I'm going to meet somebody who gets me. I was a new mom, just came back into the workforce, struggling with, oh my God, now that I know what my number one is, and candidly, folks, it's not my career, but I'll still have a great career, but I'm more important is to be a great mom.
Yeah.
I had my first meeting with this woman as my mentor, and her coaching to me was, well, you know, I just hired a nanny, I'm moving out of the home, I'm getting an office down the street, or an apartment down the street from the office, because you cannot let your role as a mother get in the way of your career.
Wow. Okay, so
we've
mine
never had
was
another meeting again.
yeah. Wow. Mine was you have to play dumb so that the men aren't intimidated by you.
Oh, God.
Gosh, we've had some good ones, Anne.
It's amazing the disservice we do to each other.
Yeah.
And it's amazing what we make up, thinking that because we're the same gender, we're going to have the same common values.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Can't stand that. Well, and you know, the other one is, and it's my only really bad experience, at least with the same gender as a mentor or a manager, was she wasn't a mother and I was, and she was trying to give me personal advice, and I was just like, I didn't even ask for it.
Yeah.
Why is this coming up in this management leadership meeting conference? I don't know. This doesn't make sense.
Oh, you know, that's so perfect. You can call me also an Henri coach, because you just gave a great example, Jennifer, of you can't coach what you can't do.
Agreed.
So, no, if you're a working woman without children, please don't try to coach your employees on how to be a great working mom.
Exactly.
Right? Connect them with a great working mom, but don't try to teach or coach what you can't do or haven't done.
Yeah, it's like I'm raising my hand going, can I have another mentor, please? Anybody?
Yes, it's bad.
Anybody?
Well, and it you know, we got into the whole gender thing, but it's been similar with men where I've had some coaching to be more aggressive than that. And we've talked about this on the show before, Anne, about how men have a very wide range of acceptable behavior in our culture, and the women's band is much narrower. And just for grins, I tried that more aggressive approach, and my gosh, you would not have believed the feedback. B word came back
the B word showed up, didn't it?
It sure did, and I did it only to illustrate that all styles don't work, and you have to do what works for you.
Bingo. Then we're right back to authenticity again. The only leadership style that always works for someone is authenticity.
And that looks like another great place to segue.
I got one more question before we segue, because you have your 4 Ps and they're posted in our chat room, but a P that I have a question about.
Yes.
Not your most recent, but what are you most passionate about?
Thank you. The passion P. I am most passionate about making coaching available to everybody. One of my frustrations in the corporate world is how sparsely coaching was divvied out, especially executive coaching, and most often it went to senior levels and it went to males. So one of the first things I did when I launched my business was I launched a affordable executive coaching program for everybody.
That is so awesome. And I have one, and I'm looking forward to working with you to doing that down here, because Anne does a lot of her work in person with those folks and on the phone, and so I'm really looking forward to collaborating with her to improve mine, because I'm so with you. It divvied out parsimoniously, and for those who are hungry for it, they have to fight to get it.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. With that, we're going to take our second break. I had planned to show us a very nice Be Harmony clip, but so my task for accountability this week is going to be to get some more memory and get it
not in her brain, in her computer's brain.
In the computer's brain. So with that, we will be right back.